Hey guys, John here from Bring the SEO. Today I want to talk about setting expectations. This is a question that was posted in an SEO community that I'm part of. And in fact, the question was asked, how do you go about setting expectations before starting a contract? That is, of course, working with an SEO client. This is a really great question, and this is something that I see a lot of SEO consultants get wrong. This is probably less of an issue for established agencies, larger agencies. It's probably more so a problem with independent consultants, contractors, and freelancers especially. So it's a great question, and as I said, it's one that I wanted to touch on. Now, as usual, I've got my trusty notes here. I scrolled down some thoughts before shooting this video because I want to try and be as thorough as possible around this point. Now, this problem comes about, typically, I'll give you a quick overview. This is how it usually goes. You get someone who's interested in working with you. You have a quick chat. You spend the entire conversation talking about deliverables. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And in fact, this is my first point. I want to read directly here from my notes because of the way in which I've worded this. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I've got here, SEOs cover what they're going to do, but not what they're not going to do. In other words, they focus on the things that they're going to do, right? And usually this conversation is focused right around deliverables. We're going to do, we're going to focus on 30 keywords, 5 articles, 20 links a month, and that's essentially as far as the conversation goes, which is fairly typical, right? Now, the issue is, of course, they're not talking about what's potentially out of scope or, put simply, what's exclusions, right? What are the exclusions? What's out of scope? Now, this is something that becomes a real problem, especially once you're, a few months into a campaign. And again, just referencing my notes here, I've got this leads to confusion about what a client is actually signed up for and what's going to happen or what to expect once you start working together, right? So here's a couple of examples that come to mind. This is what the client will be thinking, right? How long before we see results? What's going to happen in terms of reporting? What's going to be included in the reports? How will we receive those reports? How often are we going to hear from someone? Are we going to have scheduled weekly meetings, or is it going to be monthly, or what's going to happen there? Support is another one. How often, like if we need help, if we have a question, how do we go about reaching out and getting support? And in a lot of cases, I find that most clients just don't know what it is they've actually signed up for. So they have no idea what the SEO consultant or agency is actually doing. Now, of course, all of this leads to the problems that, we see all over the place, right? I've got a client, you'll hear, you see this everywhere in SEO communities. You'll have SEO consultants saying, this client keeps bugging me. They're sending me emails every day and they want updates and they want to know how much longer before seeing results. And the client's asking me to do this and the client's asking me to do that. And I usually always respond, and I don't get a lot of love for this, but I usually always respond by saying, well, that's your fault for not setting expectations. And I say that with all good intent, right? And I get it. Chances are if you've got a client and they're on your case every day or every second day and they're asking for things, perhaps when you onboarded them or even before onboarding, you haven't set clear expectations. So setting clear expectations is absolutely critical. Now, the best way to go about setting expectations is to do the following, and I'll share this with you real quick. So let's jump onto the computer and I'll show you how I handle this problem and how it can potentially help you solve it too. Okay, so within the SEO Accelerator program, I provide all of the students with this sales presentation slide deck. And the whole purpose of this presentation is to pitch and sell your services, yes, and close the client, but also to cover things like recommendations, low-level audit, the cost, time frames, and most importantly, inclusions and exclusions. And within this, you can usually cover or set expectations. Of course, there are other parts in the presentation, the slide deck, that I won't get into in this video. However, in any case, again, it's really, really important that you talk about what you're not going to do as much as what you are, right? These are equally important. So this is the sales presentation slide deck. And I just want to preface this by saying, if you're trying to set expectations after you've signed the client, it's too late. You must set expectations during the pitch, right? So you need to clearly outline again what it is that you'll be doing and what you won't be doing. In other words, what's included, what's not included. You've got to do this before you sign the client. This is tremendously important, and I find the best way to do this is via a video conferencing call where you can get the client on the call and go through a PowerPoint presentation. Don't try and set expectations via email or text. It never works. So as you can see, 2 simple slides, and I've just filled these out with a little bit of information. This is actually included as part of the SEO Accelerator program. For those of you who sign up and work with me, you'll get a copy of this so that you don't have to create your own. So in terms of inclusions, you can see here I'm clearly specifying what's actually covered, what they're actually signing up for. So search engine optimization services as agreed, including on-page, off-page, and content. Monthly reporting, revenue-focused reporting, including an itemized work summary sheet outlining the completed work for that month. We do end-of-month strategy calls, so regular meetings to explain completed work and answer any questions you might have. We do those once a month. And we provide client dashboards so that you can log in and you can view all of your campaign information, including reports, work summaries, sheets, and everything else, all within a centralized dashboard. And just for the sake of populating this last row here, I've just added lock-in contracts, which really isn't an inclusion, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. Now, under exclusions, what I found these ones to be areas that needed to be addressed, because these are areas that usually come up most often, which can cause an SEO campaign to go completely off the rails. So as you can see here, and this is essentially what I would say to a prospect when I was taking them through the sales presentation, I would say, all right, Bob, in terms of what we don't do, this is what's not included. Any form of technical support, including web support and maintenance, hosting, email, anything like that. Anything that's IT related, that's not what we do. Training, any form of staff training, private consulting or coaching is not included. Likewise, any form of social media services. We just focus on SEO. We don't do Google AdWords, Facebook ads, or any other form of paid advertising. And we're not here to do graphic design. We're not doing web design. We're not doing logos or any other form of graphic design services. These are the main ones that I always found that usually led on to be problematic when you start a campaign, especially technical support. You get this on all the time. Oh, John, our site's down. Well, that's got nothing to do with us. We're doing SEO. Go and contact the host. Or our email's not working. That's got, again, nothing to do with us. Google AdWords was another one I used to get a lot. Oh, John, you're our marketing guy. Can you have a look at our AdWords account? What are you talking about? We didn't agree to that. And of course, graphic design, right? I remember I had a client one time called me at like 11:30 at night and asked me to make his logo bigger. Didn't make any sense. So covering inclusions and exclusions, these are both equally important. You should do this as part of your sales. This should be part of your sales process. When you've pre-qualified the lead and you're taking them through a sales presentation, you should be covering inclusions and exclusions. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. Don't get yourself into a situation where you've got annoying clients. I always say, if you've got clients at the moment who are on your case and causing a huge amount of stress, then you need to start by blaming yourself first. Get into the habit of pre-qualifying and cover the things that you do and don't do, and make sure that you're very clear about the expectations of what the client can expect before you start working together. If you do that, it'll make things so much easier and far more enjoyable once you start working with the client. All right, guys, hope you found this one useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Hey, if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more, head over to bringtheseo.com. We provide business development training for SEO consultants wanting to improve their processes, increase profits, and scale to $100,000 a month or more without all the stress and overwhelm.